Nice segue. Since we got JT here, we don't really, kind of get into the Northern Iowa football scene all that much. We did when, they reached the playoffs. But JT, give us a little, follow up on how you thought the season went.
Well, the season coming into it was going to be the toughest schedule that UNI's ever had, probably ever will have. The problem was all their tough conference games came before their break. They were going to know within the first 5 games whether they're going to be a playoff team or not. You had Wisconsin, close loss, maybe a bad decision on passing on 4th and short instead of running it. Get the first down, you probably win the game. Come back to a no-name Division II school because technically we're supposed to play Florida State wanted to play us. And the team we were playing, they took that from us once we said, you know what, no, we don't really want to do Wisconsin, Florida State, and Iowa back to back to back. And then we have to follow that up with defending national champs in North Dakota State, and then top 5 in FCS, Youngstown State after that. So they're kind of a victim of their schedule. They're a victim of, hopefully the kids are okay upstairs, a victim of too many injuries, too many new coaches right before the season started. So if there's ever a season they needed to have everyone on board right ahead of time, it was this year, and that just didn't happen. And lots of close calls. Southern Illinois, a team they should have easily beat. David Johnson, who hasn't fumbled, who was a recruit for Iowa, but they didn't like him because he didn't block well enough, which, lucky for him, he didn't go there to become a running back because we don't need to get in that. But he was our stud guy, and he was going in for a touchdown, fumbled it right before the goal line, ran back all the way. UNI loses the game. And quite coincidentally enough, he was 1 touchdown away from tying the single season record for rushing TDs, set by a guy who did it in 3 more games. Who was actually a transplant from Nebraska named David Horn. But yeah, so once again, they probably would have made the playoffs had that happened. Just a victim of too many injuries, especially on the linebackers, and too many just bad tackling, bad mistakes. 3rd down just really killed the team this year. In years past, they get the 3rd down, stop them to make the 3rd down conversion. This year, it seems like they have a quarterback that's right to slip away, and what should have been a 5-yard loss in punting ends up being a 20-yard gain, and then they get points right after that. And do that time and time again. I think both teams saw it. I think Iowa State and Iowa both saw it. If you get killed on 3rd down, you're not going to win the game. And not only that, it makes it incredibly frustrating to watch it as a fan. So it was one of those where what could have been, and also what could have been too, one more game. Carlos Anderson ended up being 7 yards short of the all-time career yardage mark. He ran it back. He was 1 block away from springing it to the end zone and would have completely set it. And the thing was, they could have even taken a knee and given him a swing pass or something like that. He's a Darren Sproles type shifty little guy. He could have got it, but fortunately, just time ran out, and that was kind of a microcosm of the season. So
well, and you make up a good point, and I just want to point this out. When we say that 3rd down, when you don't get that 3rd down, it makes it very tough to win the game. It's not just because the offense stays on the field or that the defense stays on the field. Those definitely play factors because you get a lot, obviously getting tired a little easier when you're on the field for 3 downs and they get it. But the mental portion of that would just eat at me. You're like, all we got to do is get a stop. I get to go to the bench.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't. Now I'm out here. And you don't have that kind of mentality on 1st and 2nd because you're like, well, there's a play after this no matter what. But, man, when you're on 3rd and you're wanting to get to that bench and you just don't do it, that's got to, it's got to become mental at some time. And, that cannot help just the how tired you get either. So 3rd downs are crucial, for both sides of the ball. I think it's a little more mentally draining on the defensive side than it is the offensive side not to get it. But
it's like 4:45 at work. You're ready to go at 5, and your boss says, "Hey, you got to stay till 6."
Exactly.
Yep. Exactly.
So it's not an easy thing to take if you consistently let 3rd downs get to you on the defensive side of the ball.
Yep.
So. Any other thoughts on the seasons for any of the teams? Any last thoughts for Iowa as we're closing down their season, obviously with the Bowl Extravaganza that we got coming up here next week?
Oh yeah!
So be sure to be following CyHawkThoughts. We'll have everything posted up on Facebook so you can give us your bowl picks like we did last year. But any last thoughts before we kind of close out Iowa?
Go Northern Illinois, go Notre Dame. And
All
go
right.
Big Ten teams.
All right.
Was there
we
like
got that.
3 of them in bowl games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and most of them begin with N.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that's all I got on the football side because I've got a little more to talk about seeing as we're going on to a bowl game.
Yeah. All right. Any last thoughts for next year, you and I?
Next year, getting Cole Morgan back, the stud freshman quarterback who was newcomer and freshman of the year from Missouri Valley. Pretty excited about him. Unfortunately, we lose Carlos Anderson, who's a special team god. And more importantly than him, actually we're going to lose our punter for the first time in 4 years. Kyle Bernard, who was a quarterback coming out of high school. Great on the fake that, and the guy's average. He had almost an 80-yard punt once.
Man.
I mean, the kid's just a stud, and he made an average defense in the past look really good with field position, and he'll be impossible to replace. Heck, him and John Hubbard, the long snapper, have been working together for 4 years, and that's going to be tough to replace, but I imagine, like Derek Frost, he'll probably get a shot at the NFL, which can't say that about many guys at UNI normally, but hopefully he gets his shot. So we'll see what happens. Next year we should be back in the playoffs, and we have the playoffs in FCS, and it's not +1 like you got in FBS. It's actual playoffs, the way it should be. And everyone who says that the playoffs aren't exciting needs to, go to a game at Appalachian State or go to a game here at UNI or go to a game of North Dakota and see how exciting it is week after week to have your team playing for everything that it's worth. So I don't buy this that the BCS is better. If you believe that, then you probably still pay in cash and have a checkbook and all that. And don't even use a credit card.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think either Chuck or I have an issue with playoffs.
No,
Okay,
we
good.
love
Yeah.
the playoffs.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, if the BCS and NCAA are listening, let's just go to the playoffs.
Playoffs.
So,
playoffs.
although then FCS is going to be like, oh, we got to do something better, because I like you said, I find it better watching the FCS playoffs than I do watching bowl games at times. So,
Those Saturday afternoons on ESPN when they're playing the playoffs or championship games, they're fun.
yeah, they are. They are a
It's
blast.
exciting.
And
Whether it's Division III, Mount Union, and Wisconsin Whitewater,
Yeah.
like it's been for like 5 years,
yep.
or when you and I was in it against Appalachian
Delaware.
State, yeah, Delaware.
Yeah, I mean,
Joe Flacco,
there's some great teams out there that are playing in these playoffs, and I think the NCAA should definitely buy into that system. And obviously, it's getting there with next year's 4-team playoff. It's getting there, thanks to Iowa State and then probably Baylor this year that kind of helped that cause. So,
Yeah.
Thanks for watching the final football portion of the CyHawkThoughts season, minus the bowl extravaganza.
Yeah.
And maybe tidbits about football going forward. I will definitely be out there letting you know if we still have recruits coming in like we did this week. I've never seen a recruiting week like this for the Iowa State University in the state of Iowa since I've been a fan, which of course has only been like 30 years, but 32 but I was 2, so I wouldn't. You get what I'm saying.
That was back before they landed Dwayne Crutchfield.
Yeah. So, good stuff. Thanks, JT, for joining us for the football section. We'll be right back with the basketball preview. As always, tune in to CyHawkThoughts on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at CyHawkThoughts. And you can always email us with any questions, or if you want to, get involved with us, by all means, CyHawkThoughts@yahoo.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.